Hello everyone, in this video let us take a look at the project reports on Jira Cloud. So previously we spent some time looking at the project interface. Basically we spent some time looking at different options that we have when we look at a typical project on Jira Cloud. So on Jira Cloud we have this project sidebar where you have different links like summary, boards, issues and filters, and so on. And the purpose of these links is to give you quick access to a specific feature of a project. Now, there is a link here called reports, and reports are really important in a project in Jira because you can definitely start using Jira for tracking your work. And of course, you can plan some activity when you feed in information in a Jira project. But from time to time, you need to take a look at the reports. But why would you bother about looking at the reports? Well, you need to improve your efficiency. You need to track whether the work that you planned is going to be finished on time or not. Or maybe you just want to have some kind of a measure of your performance as a team or maybe as an individual. So it is always important to basically understand what is happening in the project with the help of these reports. And these reports are based on, of course, the information, the data that you have already stored in your Jira instance, especially the project that you're working on. So right now, if you want to take a look at the project reports, you can click on the report section and you will be presented with some ready-made gadgets that you can use, some ready-made reports. I don't want to call them gadgets because when you're looking at these reports within a project, they are basically reports, but I use the word gadget because I can also use these reports on my dashboard. So we'll take a look at how dashboard works in a separate video. But for this video, let us just focus on how we can use these reports and what is the purpose of most of these reports. So we'll take a look at the commonly used reports that are really useful. So the very first report that you have right now is called average age report. And by the way, when you look at the report section, right now I'm talking about Jira Cloud. So you have some groupings here. So we have some reports that are under issue analysis. Then you have forecast and management, and then you have some other reports. So let us try to look at some of these reports and understand what these reports are there for us. So the first report is average age report. If you click on this report, you will be able to basically figure out for how long your issues are in unresolved state. So when you look at this report for the past 7 days, you can see here that this bar is growing, which is not a good sign because these bars are representing the number of days, or rather I should say the age of the issues for which they are unresolved. So basically this bar should not grow. It should ideally stay constant, or it should definitely not grow, because if it is growing, it means that people are not resolving the issues on time, or maybe they are taking more time. And it could be your SLA, kind of an SLA that you need to resolve your issues within, let us say, 2 or 3 days, something like that. So if you look at the table below, it will also show you that the state of your issues every day for the past 7 days. You can of course change the number to 30 days as well. So you can see here clearly that we started working on this project on 29th of July. Then on 30th of July, we did nothing. On 31st of July, again, you can see here that this will tell you that we have 6 issues unresolved for let us say 7 days or 5 days and so on. So this is something that you can use if you want to worry about how issues are getting resolved, how soon people are resolving their issues. The second report here is called created versus resolved. So this is very simple report. It will tell you the status of the issues based on the issue creation versus issue resolutions. Right now it is not really great because it is showing us a lot of red area in the report. But basically, if you notice here, you have three, not three, but two lines here, two two measures that you can take a look at. See, if you see here that the red line will tell you that the number of issues that are getting created in the past few days versus this green line that will tell you the number of issues that are getting resolved, and this is also represented in this table below. So if you go back, for example, to your project, let me just go back very quickly, and if I resolve something, it will definitely improve the report. So if I probably go to my board, I'll try to just move some of these issues to my done column directly, and hopefully it will resolve the issue. So the issue resolution is basically based on a field called as resolution. We'll talk about that particular field called resolution later, but it is just a field that will tell you, or it will tell everyone in the team that this issue has been resolved with a fixed status, or maybe with a not fixed status. I'm using the word fixed and not fixed because it is a bit of a software terminology, but it is nothing but a field that you can set when you change the status of your issue to maybe closed or maybe resolved. So there is also resolved status in the workflow. So let us not try to complicate things right now. We'll talk about workflows definitely in a future video, but for the time being, just think about it that whenever you close, or whenever you finish any activity, you can change the resolution to done. And you can see here on the graph that this green line is now reflecting this change, and also the table below that on 4th of August we resolved 2 issues. So let us take a look at other reports, and most of these reports are quite straightforward, but I'll probably spend maybe a minute on each of them. So we have a pie chart report. Pie chart report will simply give you a pie chart of some issue statistic. So let us say if you want to find out the pie chart based on the resolution of your issues. So you can see here very clearly that you have, I believe, 3 issues resolved or done, and 4 issues are not done or unresolved. So you can of course change it to different parameters. So you have all the different fields that are basically there in your project that you can use in the pie chart. Then you have this stacked bar chart that will tell you the information about the issues getting created versus resolved in the past 7 days, and so on. So right now we don't have a lot of information in the project, but on a daily basis you will get this stacked bar chart that will give you this number, and since it is a stacked bar chart, it will tell you on a specific date how many issues were created versus resolved. So it can be really useful. Similarly, you have this resolution time report, which will tell you the issues that are getting. So if you're not sure how this report will work, or how a report is supposed to work, you can take a look at the description here. So since we're talking about resolution time report, it seems like it will talk about the resolution time, how soon you are resolving the issues. But let us read the description. It says shows the length of time taken to resolve set of issues for a project or maybe for a filter. So let us say if you want to figure out for the past 7 days what is your average resolution time. So we just resolved few issues, and that is why we have some improvement on 4th of August, but it will basically give you this average resolution time over the period of time, and it will also give you this information on a daily basis. So this can be really useful. Let us go back, and we have this report called a single level group by report. This can be useful because in this particular report you can simply select one statistic type, and it will give you the so we need to create a filter. So filter is nothing but a subset of issues for a particular project, or maybe for uh, for a project, or maybe it can be for a group of projects. So you can use some ready-made filters like open and unassigned issues for this project, but you can also use your own filter. So let us see if we have anything here. So when you select this particular filter, it will give you the breakup based on the assignee. But right now, I believe this filter is not really showing us anything, because maybe there is nothing there in the filter. So let me change it to something else. Maybe I will try to work on the overdue issues. We can also switch it to maybe something else, maybe resolution. I think that will probably give us a couple of more issues. Now we need to select the filter first. So select the popular, overdue, next. So we just have one. I want to see if I can use something else, like maybe status. So let us select the filter. Let me try to use due this week. Nothing is in the filter. Let us try again with maybe a different filter, maybe overdue again. And or I can also create a filter very quickly just to show you guys. So um, let me create, maybe instead of creating a new filter, I'll probably create a new set of issues, maybe a couple of issues. So let us select due this week, and in a separate window, I'll probably go back to my, or maybe I'll just click on this plus sign here. I'll create a couple of issues in the same project. So this is a task. I'll select due date as maybe Sunday. I'll create maybe one more, and this time I'll probably create one more task. I'll leave the due date as it is. So if I go back to my report, so it will show you two issues, which is fine, which is what we wanted. So basically, based on the status, you can also see this, that this will basically group by. So if you're familiar with, let us say, databases, there is a concept of group by. So let us say if you have maybe 3 statuses and you have 10 issues in your project, so it will give you listing per status. So if I go back to my project, and if I maybe create one more activity, let us say one more task, maybe with the due date of today, maybe I'll create just one more task 2, and that is it. So we have, I believe, 4 new issues. And if I go back to my project and board, so since we are trying to create this report based on the status, we want some grouping based on the status. So I'll probably move my issue to in progress. Maybe one of my issue can be done. And if I go back to my report, and if I do a refresh, so hopefully it will give us a nice breakup. So you can see here that since we are talking about single level group by report based on status, so you can see here that we have 3 statuses listed here, because we have some issues per status, and for each and every status it will give you the list of issues along with the overall progress for that status, and of course their individual progresses. So I mean, when I say progress, I mean the status. So this can be useful. Let us quickly take a look at the other reports. So if we go back to the time sense issues reported, so this can also be useful. Let me try to first read the description. So it says that for a date field and project or filter, maps the issues against the date that the field was set. This can help you track how many issues were created and updated over a period of time. So as the name suggests, time since, it will show you how many issues were, I believe, created since that time. So if I want to do it for the past 7 days, let us see if we have something. I don't think there will be much here, because we don't really have a lot of data in the project. And I'll anyways try to generate something. So I think we have something for the created field. So for this particular report, you can see here that on a specific date, if you hover your mouse on top of this bar, so it will tell you that on 30th of July, 7 issues were created, and it will also give you this information over the period of time. So today we also created more issues. So you can see here that it will also show you cumulative basically. So previous issues created in the previous days plus how many issues you created today. So if you go back, maybe I think we can also change the cumulative total to no, and then it will not do the summation for you over the period of time. So you can see here that on 30th of July, when we actually started working on this project, 7 issues were created, but for the past few days, we didn't really create any more issue. But today we also created 4 issues. So you can see, I think this is probably more clear when you want to know how many issues are getting created over the period of time. So let us go back to the report section. So we have more reports like forecast management, workload report. So time tracking report will tell you the information about the time that you're tracking, and we'll probably come back to this report later because right now we don't really have time tracking enabled on our project. It is probably enabled, but we are not really using it. Similarly, user workload report is also important because you want to know for each and every user or person who is supposed to work on those issues, how many issues are they working on, how many issues are assigned to them, how many of them are created or resolved, and so on. And then also we have a workload pie chart report that will also show you something similar information on a pie chart, I believe. So we'll probably come back to this report when we have time tracking enabled on our project. So let us create maybe a different video. So in the next video, we'll take a look at the time tracking features of Jira. And time tracking is important because you may have a list of activities that you want to do, but at the same time, you also want to know how long you're taking, how long your team is taking to resolve those issues, and you want to also compare it with your estimation that you did in the beginning. So let's say you have 10 activities, and for each and every activity, you have done some planning that you want to finish, let us say, task A in 2 hours or 2 days, and task 2 should be finished in 3 hours, and so on. And when you actually assign those activities to your team members, you also want them to log their time. So people can also log their time to let you know that I've spent or they have spent 3 days instead of 2.5 days, or they've spent 1 hour instead of 2 hours. So it will give you some information about their capabilities, or maybe how well you are doing your estimation. So let us talk about time tracking in the next video, and I hope you enjoyed watching this video on reports on Jira Cloud. Thank you very much.